it's faster to make a video than type everything up. So the question is how I build the painting racks. This is pretty much how I've been building them for years. I asked around from time to time and just keep coming back to this very simple plan. Let's see where to start. So materials. The main material is 1x4. 1x4 cheap, 1x4 pine. It's used for the main structure, what structure there is, the cross pieces, etc. I also use, usually for the dividers between the sections for holding the paintings. They just keep the paintings from piling into each other too much. Usually I use 1x2s, but I miscounted how much lumber I needed. And I also noted some scraps. So this is, these are basically 1x1s that I took some scrap lumber and ripped them down. And these are 1x6s for this sort of the floor of this upper section, but it's just scrap lumber. You could use whatever you had on hand. So the basic structure. So all right, so we got 1x4s again, and they are 6 feet tall, 6-foot sticks, because first, that's cheaper by the foot from places like Home Depot and Lowe's than a 1x8. Plus, if I bought a 1x8, I'd still end up with scraps because I might want to put the painting racks in there, or I might want to put them in my car. And if it was 8 feet long, or 8 feet tall rather, I'd have a hard time putting it places. So step one, I build the front and back section. So this perimeter, just this part of the perimeter, not this cross brace. So I build this section with this horizontal piece and these dividers. You'll notice the dividers are staggered. So there's the dividers in the front, in the lower section are to the front, and the ones, the top section are to the back, and that's just so I can actually get screws and such in them. When I'm building them, you can just screw it all together. I usually use a nail gun and tack things together first, just so it's easier to drill and screw without having to worry about things shifting too much. Because it's cheap pine, I always pre-drill. The screws, by and large, are just 1 3/8 screws. These are actually drywall screws left over from a house remodel. No, they're not the strongest. But again, this doesn't need to hold that much weight. Whenever possible, put them at a diagonal. That way it helps brace things, etc. I use 1 3/8 because there's a lot of moments where you've got two boards together, which is 1.5 inches, and screws often get buried, and you don't want pointy bits sticking out where you're going to slide paintings. So I build the front section, and then the back section, and then lay them down lengthways, and then I attach these cross braces, these cross pieces, as close to 90 degrees as I can manage. Again, this is not going in my house. It's going in a workspace. So attach these guys, and you have a painting rack. The one issue is the floor on here. The way I've done it here and done it in the past is, I've got this cross piece here, and this is really just to hold this floor. Sure, it strengthens things a little bit, but you can see I guess you do have a couple screws. But the trick for getting that to line up the way you want is, you put it together, you've got this piece here, and this piece here in the back, because that's the front and the back section, and this is just open. So then I just quickly clamp a piece of lumber underneath this one, going back, and clamp to this in the back as well, and then you can just lay these on top, and you'll know that they're on essentially the same plane, and then screw it on the side. Sometimes I build a little 2x4 structure and put some casters on it so you can roll it around, but I don't expect this to be moved anytime soon. If it's just got to be freestanding, I would be very tempted to put some sheet plywood or something just to give it a little more rigidity. And also I'll sometimes put in just little triangle braces in the back corners, and that'll help keep it from racking too much. But because this is wedged into the corner of the studio between other racks and this shelving unit and stuff, it's not going anywhere. Ta-da, a painting rack. Is that everything? Oh, and maybe I mentioned it. And this piece of plywood is just a very heavy piece of plywood I happen to have laying around that I just tossed it there to act as a sort of a roof so I can stick boxes and whatever else I want up there. Ta-da! Oh, and if you're a really nice person, maybe you put carpet. I often just put some cardboard down just to help keep things from getting too beat up as you slide them back and forth across the lumber, sand corners and stuff. Some people wrap these. They usually just sand them and don't worry about it. Yeah, there you go.